How's it going, everybody? My name is Chase Keep and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I want to go over exactly how I'm able to save 75% of my income, exactly what I do in order to keep my spending at less than 25% of the amount of money that I'm making per month. But I don't just want to stop there. At the end of the video, I want to go over the two things that you yourself can do to start saving 75% of your own income. I truly believe that anybody, and I mean anybody, can save this much money themselves. And we live in a world where a lot of people struggle to save 20, sometimes even 10% of their income. So a lot of people watching probably think that it sounds nearly impossible to save 75% of their income, but I promise you guys can do it. And in this video, you're going to learn exactly how. But with that, I think it's about time we get started and dive straight into how I'm able to save 75% of my income. So let's start right there. And before we get started, I just want to make a real quick disclaimer. I know that not everybody can actually save 75% of their income. For a lot of people, that's probably something that is just unrealistic in their current situation. And I totally understand that. It's not something that everybody can do, but I do believe that while not everybody can do it right now, this is a goal or just a lifestyle that a lot of people can work towards. There are things that you can start doing today to work towards this goal of saving 75% of your income. And just because you can't actually save that much today doesn't mean that this video can't apply to you or can't help you out in any way at all. So once again, I do understand that not everybody out there can physically save 75% of their income, and I just want to make that completely clear before moving on with this video. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, the first thing I want to tell you guys is that I make just about $3,800 per month. That is basically the average over the last 10 months since I've been living in Los Angeles. And when I calculate the percentage of how much money I'm saving per month compared to my income, the first thing that I do is always look at my income so that I know the exact number. And this is the step in the process where anybody out there who's trying to do the exact same thing as me, you need to know exactly what that monthly income is. First things first, that number needs to be after tax or after insurance. You need to look into exactly how much money is going into your bank account. I think this is very, very important. A lot of people just like to look at how much money they're making before taxes and then they calculate 75% of that. But I would advise everybody out there, calculate these numbers after tax. Look at exactly how much money is going from your job or wherever you're getting your money from into your bank account. And the second aspect of this that I think is really, really important is that you need to be realistic. You need to look at the actual numbers themselves, the averages over the last few months, and make sure that you are using that real, genuine, authentic number. Don't go off the numbers that you think you're making or that you hope you're making. Go off the actual, real numbers themselves. All right, so now that we know this number, for me, $3,800 per month, the next thing that I do is I actually focus on how much money I spend per month. A lot of people might think that the first thing they should do is look into exactly how much money they save per month, but I've always found that the first thing that I do is focus on my spending. And because I already know exactly how much money I'm making every single month, when I look at how much money I'm spending, I know that I'm going to set myself a budget that is just at about 25% of the amount of money that I'm making per month. It's very straightforward, it's very simple, but it's not exactly easy to put into practice. So with a monthly income of $3,800, I know that I need to keep my spending at just about $950 per month. And if I'm able to achieve that and the rest of my money goes into savings, I know that I'm saving 75% of my income. And this is the point in the video where I go over exactly how I'm able to do this, how I'm able to live on less than $1,000 per month. And it all comes back to this idea of living frugally, of cutting down on the amount of money that I'm spending per month. So for me, I go through every single thing that I spend money on every month and I look for any leeway, any wiggle room. Is there something that I can cut out of my budget? Is there some way that I can save a little bit of money? Because remember, every dollar that you save today is going to get you that one little percentage point closer towards achieving this goal of saving as much of your income as you possibly can. And so I break my spending down by categories, and the first category that I looked at, the first category that I tried my best to save as much money as I possibly could on, is rent. And moving to Los Angeles, a lot of people told me that I would be spending a lot of money on rent, that I'd be spending $2,000, maybe even more, just to have my own apartment or my own bedroom in Los Angeles. And I knew going into this trip that I didn't want to be spending that much money per month on rent. So I tried to find some absolutely cheap alternatives that allowed me to live for far less than $2,000 per month. And that brought me to the option that I eventually chose, a co-living apartment. So instead of spending more than $2,000 per month, I was actually able to find a one-bedroom apartment that I share with basically 3 other people. I live inside of a little pod, and that allowed me to spend $750 per month on rent. And this was the first big lifestyle decision that I made when it comes to trying to save as much money as I possibly could. It was choosing to live in this co-living apartment. And yeah, the experience was a little bit crazy. If you want to know more about that, there'll be a link to my video on co-living right up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. But honestly, all you guys need to know is that I was spending $750 per month on rent while living in Los Angeles. And the next category that I decided to look at was actually how much I spend on food. I knew that food was actually a very, very expensive thing. A lot of people spend hundreds of dollars per month on eating out, on going to restaurants, getting fast food, and making their own meals at home and buying groceries. But I knew that I wanted to save as much money as I possibly could, so I found the cheapest alternative that would work for me. And I know I just used the word cheap, but I definitely wouldn't use that word to describe myself. I think my decisions were actually frugal, and the first frugal decision that I made when it comes to food was choosing to basically never go out and eat at restaurants. I decided to just buy all the groceries that I could and make food at home. I cooked all of my meals. I meal prepped. I made my own breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Whenever I ate out with people, I would sometimes bring my own food. I mean, it was just this frugal decision that I made that allowed me to save a bunch of money on food. And by doing this, instead of spending hundreds of dollars per month on food, I was able to get my food expense down to $90 per month. And I love $90 per month because it just about equates to $1 per meal. So that's the crazy and unconventional way of living that I chose when it comes to food, is to basically just cook my own meals, $1 per meal, and I found that it saves me a lot of money without really giving up on the quality. I find that I'm always looking forward to these meals that I make at home, even though they're just rice, beans, and green beans, you know? It's just something that I never really question anymore. I just really enjoy it, and it allows me to save so much money. And that brings me to the next big category that I looked at and decided I'm not going to spend as much money here as most people do, and that's going to be transportation. And transportation kind of makes up the big 3 when it comes to spending. Most people spend a majority of their money on rent, food, and some type of transportation, whether it's owning their own car or just taking public transit all the time. But when I moved to LA, I actually made the decision to just not buy a car at all. I basically decided to live close enough to work where I could walk to and from the place that I worked, and I could honestly get anywhere that I wanted to get just by walking. And so for the entire time that I lived in Los Angeles, I never spent $1 on my own car or my own vehicle or anything. If I ever needed to get somewhere that I couldn't walk to, I would just grab an Uber, grab a Lyft, or scooter there. And it was honestly a much cheaper alternative to buying and owning my own car. And I know these last 2 categories have been kind of crazy. I'm sure a lot of people out there can't even fathom this lifestyle of eating $1 meals and not owning my own car. And I'm going to make videos about these exact 2 topics in the coming weeks. So if you guys are excited for those videos and are enjoying this video so far, I would highly advise everyone out there to just subscribe to the channel so that you never miss these uploads about $1 meals or not owning a car in the future. But there you go, those are kind of these 3 big categories where I chose to look at my spending and try and cut as much as I possibly could out of each of them. My transportation, instead of a few $100s per month, it was down to less than $50. My food, instead of a few $100s per month, it's down to less than $100, and my rent is at $750 per month. And altogether, my spending is right at about $960 to $970 per month. At least that's been the average over the last 5 or 6 months that I've been living in LA. And as we said at the beginning of the video, that is literally right at, or technically right under, 75%. And I do hope that you guys are alright with me rounding just up to 75%. It makes for a much better title. And that right there is my entire story. That is how I save 75% of my income. It's by focusing on my spending, cutting down on the amount of money I'm spending per month on rent, housing, transportation, and all other costs, and really just focus on spending as little money as I can so that I can save the rest of that money. But now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about exactly how you, the viewer, anybody out there who's watching this video, you can start to save 75% of your own income today. There are just two things that everybody out there needs to actually do in order to achieve that goal. The first of these two things is basically what I've already been talking about throughout this video, and it's going to be focusing on lowering how much money you spend per month. Decrease your expenses. That is one of the best ways to actually increase the amount of money that you're saving per month. It's by cutting down on the amount of money that you're spending and increasing the amount of money that you're saving. And I know it's simple, I know it's straightforward, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy. So for everybody out there, I would just highly encourage you to go through your expenses the exact same way I did, break it down category by category, and look for any wiggle room. If there is any way that you can possibly save a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there, you're going to start decreasing the overall amount of money that you spend per month, which in turn is just going to get you closer to that 75% of your income going towards savings. So there you go. That is the first thing that you guys need to do if you're trying to increase the amount of money per month that you put towards saving. And there is a flip side, of course, to this argument. There's a second thing that everybody out there needs to actually focus on if they want to increase their saving, and that's going to be increasing your income. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I myself really choose to focus on how much money I spend because as people, we really do have full autonomy. We have full control over how much money we spend per month. But what we don't necessarily have control over almost 99% of the time is how much money we make. For most people in the world, their bosses decide how many hours they work per week, and the company they work for decides how much money they make per hour. Or a lot of people work on commissions. A lot of people they make money for maybe their views on YouTube or things like that. They just don't really have a full control over how much money they make. But obviously that is in fact 50% of this equation. It doesn't matter how much money you're saving. If you're only making a certain amount of money, it's going to be really, really difficult to actually increase that percentage that you're saving per month. If you make about $10,000 per year and you try to save 75% of that, you're probably really going to struggle to live on just $2,500 over the course of an entire year. But at the same time, if you're able to make $100,000, then you can probably live kind of comfortably for 25% of that, which is going to be $25,000 per year. And I know, this isn't something that's easy. Obviously, everybody wants to increase the amount of money that they're making, but it's pretty difficult. But that's the second step in this process that you need to do. Focus on your spending first, and then, in my opinion, focus on increasing your income second. If there's anything that you can do to make a little bit more money, maybe it's working a second job or a part-time job or doing something online, just anything that you can do to make a little bit of extra money, it's going to make this entire journey, this entire goal of saving 75% of your income much, much easier. But there you go. Those are the two things that you guys out there can do to actually start saving 75% of your income. Focus on decreasing your spending and then focus on increasing your income. If you can do both, then I guarantee you're going to find yourself in a position where 75% of your income, you can save that. And in fact, once you get to that level, I truly believe that 75% may just be a baseline and it can only go up from there. And this is an important time in the video to mention lifestyle inflation. It's something that we really, really, really want to avoid. If you're trying to save as much money as you possibly can, do your absolute best to avoid lifestyle inflation. No matter how much your income increases, if you increase your spending to meet it every single time that you increase your pay or anything like that, you're actually not going to be making any more money than you were before. You're going to be making the exact same amount. And if you ever get to the point where you're actually even starting to spend more money than you're making, then you're actually going backwards. You're not saving any percentage of your income at all. You're actually losing that money. And that's why I think 75% could really be a baseline, because once you get to this level of knowing exactly how much money you can spend in order to stay at about 25% of your budget, you're able to live on that exact amount no matter how much money you make. If your income increases but your spending stays the exact same, then you could be looking at a number far higher than 75%. You could be starting to approach 80, 90, maybe even 100% of your entire income, which is just something that is so cool, but it's only possible by focusing on these two things: decreasing your spending and increasing your income. But there we go, that just about wraps up this video. Not only do you guys now know how I'm able to save 75% of my income, but I hope that you all, every single person out there, is also now aware that you can save 75% of your income. You just have to focus on these two things, and with a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of patience, anybody, and I mean anybody, can achieve this goal themselves. And if you learned a little something new, or you enjoyed this video at all, even just a little bit, it would mean so much to me if you could scroll right down below this video and turn that like button blue. It helps my channel out so much, and it helps get this video pushed to more and more people, which in turn is just going to help more and more people start to save more of their income. And if that's something that you want to do, please remember before you go to turn that like button blue. And then make sure to subscribe as well. If you enjoyed this video, I guarantee you will enjoy all the videos posted on my channel every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure subscribe to the channel so that you never miss an upload. And then I'd love to see some comments down below. If there's anybody that's willing to say how much or what percentage of their income they're saving, that would be so cool. I'd love to see where other people are at right now in their lives. I know that there are a bunch of frugal people who watch this channel, so I'm sure those numbers are going to be pretty high. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I hope everyone is having an amazingly frugal day, and I will see you all again next time.